Last time out at Wilton Mill, it was a frustrating affair. I wasn't fast, I was making mistakes, and I was getting very, very angry in the kart.
Oh, are you kidding me?
So, for this round, we go back to basics. We put the car back to its standard configuration, we take a more science-based approach to tyre pressures, and we focus on our driving.
So welcome to Llandow Kart Circuit, the weekend starts now.
So, I don't normally show practice day footage because not much really happens, but as I made such fundamental changes to the way I go about the weekend, I thought it was worth telling you that practice went really, really well. I went from struggling like 8/10 off the pace at Wilton Mill
Through goes Hamilton!
to actually being in the top 5 or 6 on the pace over the entire practice day. But the other reason that I want to show you about the practice day is I did a little side quest. For the final session, I parked my GX because Andy Martin let me jump in this absolute weapon, the Araxo 38 horsepower F300. It is a kart that is 7 seconds quicker around here than my kart, and it is terrifyingly fun. But there will be a full video on that in the coming weeks, so like, share and subscribe to the channel to make sure you get that as soon as that one comes up, because that's going to be fun.
What a piece of kit! Let's go! So, here we go. This is race 1, starting P6, Matthew Roberts on pole, and Beryl Smith in P2, followed by Anthony Cassels, Connor Botting, and I have Ethan next to me. A few other friends in the race. We got Matthew Roberts, we got Daniel Howard, we have the M plate holder Phil. This is a stacked grid, as they all are in GXUK these days. We've had good pace in practice, so a P3 in this race would be lovely. This track's a little bit difficult, so there might not be as much talking in this. Might have to all be voiceover. Here we go, green flag. 3, 2, 1.
Gang, go, 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 as the left-hand side of the grid gets off to a very good start and Amor takes the lead. I follow up into 4th place. I want to get past Connor as quickly as possible. I get a good run on the exit here, but I do not want to be on the outside, so I cut back to the inside.
Got to get those places made up in this first lap. Don't be told anything else. This is where you make your ground very, very early, especially in this class of kart, and that's what we're seeing Alex Vangeen do. Indeed, Alex up to 3rd, gets his head down. Because of that place change in that order, we've had the first two bringing away a little bit of a gap.
And what my plan is to try and get up to the back of Anwar and Matty, because I know how quick those two are, and if I can latch onto the back of them and stick in their slipstream, they can drag me along with them. But there is a crew fighting behind me, and I do have to keep my eyes peeled.
Really a huge amount of difference in the speed, but obviously a huge amount of difference in the advantage of the slipstream.
We've got a change for lead as they cross the line. Matthew Roberts down the inside of Beryl Smith into the hairpin for the first time. The yellow and blue kart there, the EOS chassis of Matthew Roberts now being chased down by the O plate of Beryl Smith, who's not going to take that very lightly. Just behind them, Alex Vangeen, he was chasing after the leaders and bringing that group with him. However, Alex seems to have broken free from Anthony Cassels, Connor Botting, Ethan Hall and Daniel Howarth, and he's closing that gap to Beryl Smith. Pretty much it's going to be a 3-car battle.
Yeah, he's in the background, hunting down like a slightly portly shark as he comes off.
Thanks, Nick. Not going to live that one down. So, over the course of the next few laps, not really much happens. All I do is tend to lose about 2 to 3 tenths a lap from Anwar and Matty as I push very, very hard to get away from the pack behind. However, in that pack behind, and fighting their way through that pack, is Phil Richardson, the M plate holder, and championship leader Jacob Sharrock. I don't know they're there yet, but I find that out pretty soon. And into the closing stages of the race, as I make a slight mistake into the double left-hander, I come out of the spoon and have a quick look behind me.
Oh my god, that's Jacob.
And the reason I was so surprised to see that orange flash just behind me was because Jacob had started at the very back of this race, and I knew it was not going to be long before he was on my tail.
Oh my days.
And despite the fact I have been slowly bringing my lap times down, I can still see that Jacob and Phil are gaining on me. I start to tense up and start to think about the defence that I'm going to have to make. But as I come into the chicane onto the back straight, I make a realisation. The orange cart that I saw wasn't Jacob, it was the end plate holder, Phil Richardson. And considering that he spends every single weekend in a go-kart means I am in no less danger than if it was Jacob. So it is at this point worth noting that I have never finished P3 in a heat before, and I am very, very desperate to have my first podium. So I have made the decision at this point to absolutely white line it, to make sure that there is nothing that I do to leave any space for Phil to get past me. So I'm going to frustrate the hell out of him for the next few laps as he tries absolutely everything to get past me. The unfortunate thing is the live stream didn't catch any of this, and obviously I don't have a rear facing camera, so we just have to rely on the fact that I am defending for my absolute life. As I come through onto the back straight, I go right over to the right hand side to cover off to make sure there is no room for him to come through. I can see that he's on the left hand side and a little bit too far away from me, so I can take my line and take the proper line through the hairpin, but I was a little bit slow I think through the hairpin most of the weekend, so I was quite vulnerable there. And as I come through the chicane down towards the double left-hander, I actually do leave a little bit of a gap, and Phil does have a lunge up the inside, but he gives me the room, I give him the room, but he cannot get the switchback back on me through the spoon curve as we head back down. That was a close call, and I don't really want that to happen again. So as I get through the fast right-hander, through to the back chicane that leads us onto the back straight, I know that Phil is still there, absolutely breathing down my neck, and I also have an inkling that Jacob has joined the fight too. So again, I go all the way over to the right-hand side, I check to make sure I've got a gap. Once I've got a gap, I can move back over to the left-hand side to open up the corner to make sure I get the best run out of the hairpin, but Phil is still there nibbling at me. Luckily, he hasn't got enough of a run to make me compromise my corner for the first corner, so I managed to get through there fine. I learned my lesson from the last time, from the last lap, and I absolutely white line it.
And behind these two are great to watch. Behind these two, all hell is breaking loose because we've got a 7-car train behind Alex Vangeen, but we can't take our eyes off these leaders. Each one it is.
Neither can the leaders take their eyes off each other.
Absolutely. Look at that battle there for third though, and Vangeen's about to lose it. Vangeen's about to lose that third place, but he hangs on through the dell.
Joe, ye have little faith. As I white line it all the way down to the back straight, I know that Phil is fighting off Jacob. I can go back a little bit, I brake hard, I keep a tighter line as possible to limit the cutback, which ends up being Jacob, and I manage to cross the line in P3.
Yes! My first P3! Yes! Yes! Yeah!
And note the lap time of a 52.5, which is almost a second slower than it should be. Another cool down lap as I get a fist bump from Jacob. Considering Jacob went on to win every other race on the day, technically I'm the only person on the track that he couldn't pass. And then I get a fist bump from Phil, who throughout that battle showed me the absolute utmost respect. We gave each other loads and loads of room, especially when we went through side by side through the chicane. It was a really, really great battle with some really fine racing drivers, and I am incredibly happy with that result.
That was fun.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I was infuriated. I was like, and then I tried to do a switchback and Jacob followed you through, and I was like, no.
That was so much fun. Nice and clean. I enjoyed that.
Well, that was insane. That was a lot of fun. P6 to P3, I will take that all day long. That is my first actual heat podium in GXUK. That's why I was rather excited and happy about that one. But also to be able to hold off Phil and Jacob the two of the quickest guys in the whole series was awesome. Big hugs and laughs with them afterwards. So it was all hard and fair racing, which was awesome. Yeah, that was really, really mega, really mega. So I've got a little bit of a wait now until my next heats. I'm not out till heats 4 and 5, so I've got a while to wait. But yeah, that's a really good start to the day. I can only go forward now, so pending the next results, I should be fairly decently up in the A final. So here's foreshadowing for being hopefully somewhere near the front in the A final. And yeah, you will see the next heat bow now.
So here we are for my race 2, heat 4. It's been a long time since I've been back in the car, so I've got to kind of get myself warmed up and ready to go again. And again, it just seems like we've got a difficult round. We've got Anwar in front of us, we've got Phil at the very front, Alex Horn at the very front, I've got Oscar behind me, I've got Tom Angier to my left, I've got Anthony Cassell to my left as well, I've got Russell Endine behind me. So we are starting P15. And let's see what happens. Here we go.
So the mistakes start early for this one. I am not close enough to Paul at the start of this race.
Oh no, it's a bad start. It's a really bad start.
But I have to get over it quickly and get onto the pace and try and make up places in this race. As we know, you do have to make up places early in these races because you don't have very long, and obviously before things start to get strung out, you want to get straight on top of things. However, I find myself behind Tom Angier, who I raced with constantly last year, and often came off worse against him. But we managed to get upside the inside of Connor Botting. Connor obviously had a really bad run around the outside of Spoon, and he has lost out massively, unfortunately for him. And as we roll on a little bit, you have Dan and Matthew Glazebrook come together and cause each other to go all sorts of different places. But Tom makes the wrong decision, goes to go around the outside of Dan, and I managed to sweep up the inside of both of them, gaining 3 places in 2 corners. But that's now put me up into the top 10 where I wanted to be, and now I have to go and chase after my buddy Paul. Come here, Paul. As we roll on a little bit of time, I have got a little bit closer to Paul as we come into the downhill double left, but I gain a much better exit than him. He goes to the normal line, I go for the inside, I cut up the inside of him, just manages to hold me off around the outside and manage to keep his position, while Russell Endine is also having a look around the outside of me, but there is no going around the outside of this corner as I took far too much curb and was often scared of ripping my wheel off. Now we're coming back into this again, and Paul makes a really great move up the inside of Sam Hooper, who gives him lots and lots of space. Nice job, and Sam is like, okay, forget that, let's get on with it, let's see if we can chase. Or he's just shouting and waving his hand because he's angry at himself. But all hell is about to break loose here.
So Andy's on that 99, isn't he? The bright yellow, the luminous yellow.
Vangeen in there as well, just about 2 places back. And 5, he was looking left, looking right. Now he's...
You know what, Nick? I can't wait to see Alex's on board for this second heat, for heat 4.
Ask and you shall receive, Joe. It's all about to get a little bit messy as we head into turn 1. Russell comes up the inside of me. I'm focusing on Russell. I see a gap. I go for the gap, but Sam is also there, and I misjudge that a little bit, and I give Sam a big clobber up the inside. He loses a couple of places. I lose a place to Oscar, and I also lose a place to Dan, but I am able to sneak straight back up the inside of Dan here into the Spoon, and then head off after Oscar and after my lost places.
Oh, I'm going to get a penalty for that, I think.
So it's a little bit later in the lap, and we're coming up the hanger straight, and there is a slow moving number 66 of Alex Horn. What it turns out that happened is he was happily sitting in second place and made a little error and touched a barrier and broke his car, so he is hanging on for dear life here. And I smell blood in the water, so I'm going straight for him. He's obviously lost a lot of speed, so I go to go up the inside, but if you look ahead I see a yellow flag. I notice the yellow flag and I do not go for the move, because if I go for the move that is a penalty. However, what I realise after this is actually the yellow flag is on the other side of the track, but I'm still glad I didn't go for it, because it's still better to be safe than sorry. But then later in the lap I managed to get up the inside of him on the exit of the hairpin, going over the start finish line, and I managed to get the move done into turn 1.
was a bit messy, that race. It was like 4 into 1 and if I get a penalty, then I get a penalty. I'm not going to argue about it.
And as we come to the last lap into the final chicane, I come in here, I go to brake and my foot slips off the pedal and I get a massive snap of oversteer. And what that does is it puts the even slowing Alex Horn straight onto my backside. So I have to go super defensive for the final corner because I know he will try and have a lunge if he possibly can. He gets a decent switchback on me, gets a good run out of the last corner, but not quite enough to pit me by the line.
That was close. Was that you I tangled with? Do you know what? I actually don't know what happened. I had someone on the outside.
We checked up because they were all together.
I had someone on the outside of me. I thought there was a gap, and then everyone slowed. Just,
there was no
I was saying, I was like, if I get a penalty for that, I probably deserve it. But it was just a difficult one. Did you at least recover?
Oh yeah. I lost about 5 places. So. Still points to the final, isn't it? But
Yeah. It was a shame. I was just
isn't it? I don't know where we ended up.
Right, so that is race 2 for me done. That was eventful, wasn't it? We went from 15th to 9th, so I got into single digits like I wanted to. There was contact in that race, but it wasn't like real bumping, it was just consequential stuff. So the stuff that I thought I might have got a penalty for, it turns out there was a whole big bunch up into that corner as well, so which will compound what I did. I don't quite know what happened to Russell. I haven't got to go find Russell and see if it's right, because I think he was on the outside of me when all that kicked off. But yeah, P9 for that, so that's a P3 and a P9. Next race I'm starting P10, so let's see how I can move forward. I've had to adjust my tracking because that knock did put my tracking out, so my tracking's now back straight. And we go again. Temperature's dropped. There is a threat of rain. Let's see.
Alright, so you might see on my visor there are some spots of rain. We had a very, very small showering. It's not enough to have caused any issue or any dramas. Some people might drive a bit more tentatively because of it, because it might be a bit spooked them a little bit, but I'm going hard like it's the normal dry race. I can't really say about fast people anymore because just everyone's fast. Here we go. I think I'm a bit quicker than Sam. I'm probably quicker than Simon. I know he's been struggling. Me and Angie, as always, are very similar on pace. Let's go. We're already ahead of Sam. Into turn 1. We're up the inside of Simon. Oh, Matthew got turned round. It's a good start though.
And I want to make the absolute best of this start. So my aim is now to go, as I've gone from 10th to 6th, my aim is to try and move further forward. My next target is newcomer to the series, Harvey Still, in the 48 kart, in this very pretty pink and blue kart. One of my favourite karts on the grid, actually.
Where they got behind.
And as I see them all bunch up into this corner, I get a really good run through them, which maybe will give me a run at Harvey up the straight. Let's see what happens here.
Vangeen, I think he's now in 6th. That's up from the start. He started about 9th or 10th.
Side by side through Raymond's hairpin.
Oh, Harvey's squeezing me. I'm not going to get involved in that.
And I get a really good exit out of the first corner, so it gives me a really good run into the double left-hander, and maybe I've got an opportunity at the spoon.
I'm going up the inside. Oh, I've sent Harvey off.
Now what it looked like happened there was I got a snap of oversteer in the middle of the corner, and it's that snap of oversteer that sent me off into Harvey and sent Harvey off the track and actually ended his race. Really sorry for that, buddy.
He's right back up the corner from Murray Townsend. I think he lost 2 places. I think both Angie and Davis got past him. Actually, Davis is side by side with him, and he's just toughed it out.
This is brilliant.
But But yeah, certainly Angier got through into second place, and now Vangeen is doing a great
Vangeen's
run,
joining in.
looking to come up through. He's fifth at the moment. He needs the points. He's not been particularly, he's not done badly, but he hasn't really had a single good score so far, Vangeen.
That was clever from Alex. He just backed out of it into the hairpin, and that was able to give him a run from there. Hasn't really gained him anything, but I could see what he was thinking. It's going to be a great video for this second round.
But he's back to lose position. He's going to lose position. Is that the 39, is it? Or is it the 30? It's the 30. It's Glazebrook. Glazebrook has got back up the inside of him now, using that traditional up the inside of McWhirters. And in fact, Glazebrook looks like he's got a bit of pace. He may well be getting Matthew Davis, who's turning into a bit of a cork in the bottle of everyone else.
And as you roll on a few laps into Spoon, I feel a disturbance in the force. Fudge.
Into the Robert.
I now have to think about attacking and defending. And as we're heading into turn one, Matthew Glazebrook's about to make a big mistake. He's about to go a little bit too wide, jack the car a little bit too much, and I may force me to go to the inside, but then force me wide as well over the grass. As he forces me over the grass, Matthew Roberts threads brilliantly through the pair of us and goes through and takes position. I end up on the outside of Matthew Glazebrook, and again, stuck behind and not very happy about this particular incident. But one of those things, as I try to go up alongside him when I get my front bumper caught on his rear bumper.
Grass. So you see he goes too wide. He's lost his momentum by going too wide. And I'm not quite sure how this needle was threaded, but frankly, he can do all my sewing. Fantastic stuff.
Carrying the number 3, of course, third in the championship. So he is a front runner in GXUK.
I have had good results though. I don't need to risk anything.
And that kind of cemented the rest of the race for me. I wasn't quite quick enough to have a legitimate go at Matthew Glazebrook, and I didn't want to risk.
Oh no!
I didn't want to risk all the good points that I had already made, and it was the same case for Alex Horn, who was behind me, who also just wanted bank points
Quick this Matthew Glazebrook kid.
to get himself far up the final. And then there's the last bit of action as we head into the final lap. We've still got Glazebrook in front of us with Angier behind Matthew Davies, and everyone is getting very, very tight and tasty. I think about the outside, then I think about the inside. I don't quite manage to get the braking done. Angier gets very aggressive as Matthew Glazebrook brings him just the line, and that's the most angry I have ever seen Tom Angier.
Fun, wow, there was really good driving standards there. Got a little bit tasty towards the end, but that was tough work. I enjoyed that. Oh, Angie is not happy. I don't blame him. I'm happy with that result. Been single digits in every race.
So that was a mixed race, that one. Got a really good start. Unfortunately, had a little bit of contact with Harvey, and unfortunately, it sent him off onto the grass, and he had some damage. Which makes me feel sad because I don't like anyone having to do that because of me. So apologies for that, Harvey. But then the rest of the race was quite good. It was tight. I wasn't really going for moves because I just wanted to bank points, and the banking of points has done me well because I'm now 6th for the A final. So yeah, we've had a good day. So let's go do the A final, shall we? Let's see what happens.
Holy hell. It is A final time and I am P6. Pretty insane. I've had a great day. I haven't been actually as quick as I was yesterday, but I've been consistent. I've had some great battles, it's great fun, but there's some serious competition around me right now. We've got Jacob on pole, followed by Mr. Jones, I keep forgetting his first name, then Matthew Roberts, and then Phil Richardson, then Amwell Beryl Smith, then me, then Russell Ending, then Alex Horn, and you've got Ronnie in there as well, you've got Ben White, you've got Tom Angier, Ethan Hall. There's a whole bunch of massive heavy hitters up the front with me, and it's going to be a fun race. The racing's actually been really good today. The standard's been way higher than it was at Wilton Mill. It's going to be a fun day. Let's go.
So my main plan coming into this final was to not crash into the back of Matt Roberts, but was to try and get involved in this lead battle, and then if I can't, defend for my absolute life. And things started to go wrong almost immediately. As we head into turn 1, Anwar's a little bit wide, I'm hanging along around the inside, but Anwar comes across and we get a little bit locked up, and I have to check up a little bit. Russell comes around the outside of me, I have to go tight to the double left, I then touch the chicane, get a massive swap with oversteer. Ronnie gets to go around the outside of me, and as I am left to hang out to dry on the outside, there is also an Alex Horn up the inside of me, and at this point I'm still on the outside. I can't check back in, and I've just lost 3 places. I think about having a go at Alex into here, I get on the curb, I get very sideways and nearly lose it. Lost all my momentum. So after driving so well all weekend, I did my worst lap on the first lap of the final, and because I lost momentum, I had Tom Angier up at the inside of me. I guess I was frustrated and I didn't defend what I probably should have done. I got a run on him back into turn 1, he's on the outside of me, and I do manage to hold on to that position. But absolute disaster. I've lost touch with the guys in front. I defend the inside because I do not want Tom to come through, and it's a case of now trying to drive back up to Alex Horn, who I felt I was on similar pace with all weekend, but in this final I just did not have a great deal of pace, and I really struggled. I was very raggedy. I think this probably obviously threw me a little bit as well, and all I'm trying to do is catch back up. So then what proceeds to happen for the next, well, quite a few laps is Mr. Tom Angier hanging around my rear end, basically like an annoying fly. I had to be very wary of wherever he was, because he was just as quick as me, if not a little bit quicker, and was making far less mistakes than I was. He was much better on the brakes into the hairpins. I seem to have better exits than him. He seems to be carrying a lot more speed, as you see, into the corners than I was, but I was obviously backing off a little bit and then able to get on the power earlier, and we went round and round and round and round like this for what I can only tell you was basically most of the final, with not much happening. It was very intense being in the driver's seat, but it's not a very exciting thing to watch, so I'm going to skip forward quite a few laps. And as we find ourselves coming into the end of lap 8, I come into the hairpin, get a massive swapper on, and get Tom right on my backside. And I did have a look, I did see that he was there as we come through the chicane. I still know he's there, but I don't quite think he's as close as he actually was. As we come down into the double left-hander, I have a little bit of look, I see he's there, but I take my line. I don't think I've got too much of a worry about it, and I open the door, take my line, and Tom just walks straight through it. Another critical racing error from me in this final. It has been a disaster from the start, and I am not a happy bunny, but let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get back past him. And as we exit the chicane, we both get a very similar exit, carry very similar speed out the corner. Even in the slipstream, I'm not catching really too much as we brake for the hairpin. And funnily enough, I'm able to keep closer to him through the hairpin than I was when he was behind me. So maybe there's just a little bit of effect of following going on there. As I think about having a go, but there's just nowhere to do it. I get a little bit checked up as I carry a bit more speed through the corner than he does. We come down into the double left. Again, he's a little bit too far away from me. So there's not a great deal I can do here. And I think a little bit of sadness and a little bit of disappointment kind of washes over me a little bit. And I don't do my best driving from here on out. However, as we roll on a little bit, I do have a think about having a go into the hairpin as I got a better run on him at the chicane. And now it's a case of, am I able to line him up? So I try to sweep into the chicane, focus mostly on my exit and just getting the best possible exit I can. And I actually do get a better exit. He leaves the door open to me for the inside, so I do try to throw myself down the inside. I don't quite get there. Tom runs a little bit wide, but then what is unbeknownst to me is there is a car up my inside. I had no idea it was there. I ran a little bit wide off the track, and I'm not very happy about it. That number 57, I had no idea where he was where he was. I had no idea he was there, and he completely caught me by surprise. Then what that's done is it's put Matthew Glazebrook back on my rear bumper, so I now also have to defend from him. This race just seems to be going from bad to worse. I can't seem to find myself in a decent position, I can't seem to find myself in a decent pace, and wherever part of the track I put myself on, it is the wrong part of the racetrack. Let's see if we can hold on to this. And as we head into the middle section of the race, Adam Holloway in the number 57 car is now making a move on Tom Angier, and a brilliant move at that. I guess Angier didn't know he was there either, and it's just sent us both backwards now. Adam Holloway, who I haven't seen all weekend, haven't seen what pace he was capable of, is absolutely flying. And me and Tom had absolutely no chance in catching him. So now I'm back onto the back of Tom, but I'm also still very aware that I have Matthew Glazebrook behind me. But again, I can't outbrake Tom. I've got nowhere to actually really genuinely pull a move off, and I have to be super careful with the moves that I pull off, because if I make a mistake, Matthew Glazebrook's going to be through. Lap 14 of the race, which is, I think, a 16 lap race, so we're very, very near the end of this race. I get a really good run at the chicane, and I have a really, really good run at Tom, which I haven't been able to get before. I get really, really close, but he's a very late braker, and I just do not have the braking capacity to do it. But because of my tight line, Ethan Hall has managed to get an undercut on me, and is very desperately trying to get me on the inside into the hook. But luckily I managed to hold him off this time and put him back in position and hold on to my place. But now I have to focus on defending, because he seems very, very quick at this stage of the race, and I have to make sure I hold on to this position. And thankfully, as I see the final lap board, I think, right, all I have to do is just keep it on the track, not make any mistakes, and I can come home in 11th place, having salvaged something from a terrible, terrible final. But sometimes things don't go the way you plan. As I come into the right-hander, I get a little bit wide onto the curb, and Ethan manages to drag up alongside me, and you do not want to be on the outside here, because it leaves you susceptible to somebody else coming through, which is Paul Zanatachi, and behind him is Matthew Glazebrook. As we head into the chicane, I get a little bit deep, and I just tap the back of Paul, spins me round, and I get absolutely walloped, get my axle bent, and fall all the way to the back of the field. Let's go back and watch that, shall we? So unfortunately for me, this is a hard watch. As we come into the corner, I am side by side with Matthew Glazebrook, and we are carrying our speed through. I underestimate how much Paul is going to slow down, and I just clobber into the back of him. I'm very pleased that I didn't spin him round, because that would have been very unfair on him, but it's what sent me round, and I ruined a couple of other people's races. So just compounds what was up to the final an absolutely awesome weekend that ended up being an absolute mitigated disaster in the final. So feel rubbish about that, but we do have to move on, and we have to pick ourselves up, brush ourselves down, because there's another race in a few weeks' time.
Huh? I don't know. There was a whole bunch of us side by side in the chicane, and next thing I know I'm backwards. I don't even know what happened. I don't know if it's my fault, I don't know if it's somebody else's fault, or it's just a million people into one. I think it was racing incident. There was a whole bunch of us side by side. Bollocks. I drove so terribly in that race though. Damn it.
So that is the weekend over. You joined me several hours after the racing has all finished. As you can see, I'm in a dark, gloomy van with Mr. Philpott driving, and yeah, we just kind of got back to watching the footage from the last race. So I made a lot of clumsy mistakes at the beginning that let people past me, and then kind of me and Tom Angier were kind of in a bit of limbo of pace. We were both kind of matching each other. I was quicker in some places, he was quicker in others, and then other people were just catching us from behind. Last lap I ran a little bit wide on the exit of Spoon, and Ethan comes through, brings another kart through with him. I can't remember the name off the top of my head who that was. And then me and Matthew Glazebrook go side by side into the chicane, and the kart that had just got ahead of me sort of braked quite hard and turned in front, and I just clattered into the back of him. So it's probably on me, I guess. But listen, we live and learn. I had a 75% awesome weekend and then a 25% not so great weekend, but I found some pace, I found a setup that works, I found tyre pressures that work. So 4 weeks, we go again at Fullbeck, and I might have another fast thing to drive, but we'll talk about that at the next weekend. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. If you really want to, please become a member of the channel and help support me on my journey of trying to progress, making great videos for you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, goodbye.